Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Aleksandra and I'll show you how to make this oversized shirt using my pattern called SOLIS. You can find my digital sewing patterns in my shop on Etsy and I will leave a link in the description below. To start, take the front panel and draw lines along the dart lines. Next, fold the fabric right side to right side, matching notches and pin it. Then stitch alongside marked line. Always stitch a dart from the notches to the point and don't do the back stitch at the end. Don't cut the leftover thread tails, but just do a couple simple square knots and then you can trim off the excess thread tails. Now place back and front panel right side to right side and pin it on the shoulders. Stitch the shoulder seams with 1 cm seam allowance and press open. Finish off the raw edge using an overlocker, a zigzag stitch or pinking shears as I did. Place the back-facing panel with interfacing on it on the front-facing panel, right side to right side, and pin it. Stitch the shoulder seams with 1 cm seam allowance and press open. Trim off the outer corners. Finish off the raw edge of the facing using an overlocker or a zigzag stitch. For this project, I am going to use an overlocker foot and stitch on my sewing machine. Lay the bodice flat right side up and place the facing on top, right side to right side. Match the shoulder seams and pin the facing in place, matching around the neckline. Then stitch using 1 cm seam allowance all the way around. Clip out V-notches around the neck edge and clip the corners. Understitch the seam allowance to the neckline edge about 3 mm from the first stitching line. Remember to get as close as you can into the corner and then stop. Move your presser foot and stitch again. And again, get as far as you can and move on. Join front and back panel together using a French seam technique. Moving on to the sleeve, sew the sleeve seams using a French seam technique as well. Now around the sleeve head, machine one row of the long stitch between the notches. This is the E stitch. Place the sleeve in the armhole, right side to right side. Match the highest point on the shoulder, underarm seams and the notches. Pin everything in place from the sleeve side. Now pull up the E stitch until the sleeve fits neatly in the armhole. Don't rush here. Stitch the sleeve in place starting from the underarm seam with 1 cm seam allowance and have the sleeve on top when you machine. Next, pull out the E stitch. Finish off the raw edge with a zigzag stitch or an overlocker. I will use here again my overlocker foot. Moving on to the sleeve hems, fold up 5 mm at the raw edge and press. And then fold again by 1 cm and pin it place. Leave a small gap through which you will insert the elastic. Stitch to hold the fold up in place about 2 mm from the folded edge. Now cut a piece of elastic to fit your lower arm and using a safety pin insert it into the sleeve. Secure the ends of the elastic together and close the gap by stitching. Now use a chalk to mark the placement of the buttonholes, first one 2.5 cm from the neckline and then each next one 6 cm down. Use a buttonhole foot and sew the buttonholes. Trim threads and open the buttonholes using an unpicker. Next, mark the positions of the buttons and sew them. As the last step, let's move on to the hemline. Stitch across at the 2 cm line, right side to right side. Clip the corners and bag out the hemline. Next, double fold the raw edge, pin everything in place and top stitch close to the upper fold. And you're done. Thank you.